Hello, wherever you are in the world. My name is c.Russell from the University of Worcester. I hope you're well at this very difficult time and that all your family and friends are well. This is a summary of my PhD research recently completed, which explored the experiences of 4 people with dementia over the course of approximately 12 months as they engaged in activity offered by their local community leisure and fitness centre in England. Accounts and experiences of close family members and of sports coaches and other staff employed within the centres were also gathered and contributed to my findings. Over the next few minutes, I will summarise aspects of the contribution my research made to leisure and dementia studies and to theory. I hope next year I'll be able to present my findings in full at the LSA conference at the University of Solent. And I also hope that during the following 12 months I'll be able to publish my research for people to study and reflect on. This research matters because it offers new insight into the lived experience of dementia within everyday leisure contexts. These can enhance the lives and well-being of people and their families. It can be used to improve services, leisure services. But it extends beyond this. For example, offering learning about citizenship, social citizenship and anti-oppressive practice that can be realised through leisure. You might be interested to know that I plan to introduce leisure into our new online distance learning curriculum in 2021 so that scholarship and practice can be strengthened in relation to leisure and dementia to improve people's lives. If you want to know more, please contact me, c.Russell at the University of Worcester. So, a summary of some of my key findings and conclusions. Overall, the research demonstrated how the people living with dementia I encountered were able to mould and develop their identity via the opportunity structures provided through participating activity at leisure centres, alongside their personal attributes and life stories, and by way of social interaction with others. Engagement in sport and physical activity tended to enable individuals to look forward and attach aspiration to their involvement. Taking part in sport and physical activity within the public and communal venues provided by the centres was agentic and contributed to identity formation for participants, which they reported as positive. Skillful and empathetic facilitation of activity, physical and leisure activity, was required though, because there were inherent risks. And this was where the employees within the centres came into their own. This was because participants could be reminded of capabilities that had declined, for example, and also reported sadness at the loss of acquaintances and friends with dementia with whom they'd previously played alongside. It was often through the skilled and empathetic facilitation of activity and its provision that these negative elements were ameliorated. So a key role for practitioners and a key role for staff within these settings. Turning now to the more specific elements that I found from my study. For people living with dementia, participating in leisure activity can engender something which I referred to as agentic couple identity. This is an original concept drawn from my findings, which can apply between people living with dementia engaged in sport and activity and their spousal carer. It can also be between a participant in leisure activity and a centre worker, so the sort of colleagues and employees that I've just described. Agentic couple identity is the combined identity of 2 people in a relationship where one has dementia, along with the encouragement for the participant with dementia's engagement in tasks requiring perception and understanding in synergy with that person's capabilities and aspirations. In the case of people living with dementia and spousal carers, insight into the potential for mutual benefit from engagement with the activities of centres was multifarious. Agentic couple identity enabled both people to achieve what would be useful, for example, freedom from certain restrictive aspects of their lives, freedom to do certain things together, all of which I found could help sustain their relationship in a time of challenge and or adversity. This finding demonstrates how the personhood and citizenship of both people living with dementia and spousal carers can be recognised and enacted together and apart through leisure As I say, I found that those employed as centre workers can form part of this agentic couple identity also. For example, organising the offering of the centre to provide activities with participant perception and understanding in synergy with the participants' capabilities and aspirations. So this is relatedness in a professional rather than a familial sense, but I saw how it enabled participation in the life of the community of the leisure centre, which in turn forged positive connections with it. And I think one particularly important point was that this offered powerful insight into the value of leisure in the context where people with dementia are living alone, and it showed how those participants can draw upon the support of others to achieve their desired outcomes from within the heart of their local community. And I think this is very important. The second finding, which I want to tell you about briefly, is that it's the person's choice that matters in the design and delivery of sporting and physical activity. It's the personal preference of participants with dementia which matters regarding which activities they participate in and alongside whom. This insight will contribute to the design of services because it helps to answer that question which is repeatedly posed. Should the offering of sports and leisure services be designed specifically to accommodate people living with dementia, or are mainstream, more generic offerings required and desired? My study showed that both must be on offer. The choice of the person matters because it's part of their social citizenship once again, and their agency. And this helps to demonstrate how they wish to belong within and to the social groupings that leisure activity is a part. The final conclusion I want to tell you about briefly is that physical activity identities fostered through engagement at leisure centres can be utilised positively by people living with dementia and taken within their broader, daily, everyday lives. Participants with dementia had clear physical identities which they developed through participation, which were meaningful to how each perceived their identity. They could utilise these identities beyond the centres and within their broader life world. And I found these were represented within the core identity themes that my findings showed around personal resilience, sociability, freedom, and feelings of authenticity that participants with dementia reported. This aligns very much with a concept known as embodied identity mobility, which the scholars Mayer, Joan and Prince reported on in 2018, which is the opportunity to express oneself through physicality. And this is recognised as a key way in which the voices of people marginalised within society can be articulated. In my study, I found this was deployed by people living with dementia within the context of physical and sporting activity within the communal settings of the research. And as I say, it was then taken beyond those. The final point that I want to make relates to conclusions based on the contribution my study made to theory. And I believe the contribution of serious leisure is important to understand because it helps comprehension of elements of the lived experience of dementia in new and novel ways. I've mentioned several theoretical frameworks already, but as far as I'm aware, my study was the first occasion in which theoretical understandings of serious leisure have been applied to the dementia context. Serious leisure can support and strengthen considerations of the lived experience of dementia by providing new theoretical understandings, in particular through its synergy with matters relating to the agency and social citizenship of participants, in other words, one's place in the world, and how that's manifested. Components of serious leisure, such as self-fulfillment and interest, self-development, self-expression and accomplishment, offer these and were present in abundance within participant accounts. The potential of serious leisure to enhance understanding of the lived experience of dementia is at a very early stage, but I believe possibilities are exciting. For example, serious leisure offers a medium through which the agency and aspiration of people living with dementia can be conceptualised and comprehended. Now, this is a pseudonym, but it was a brief comment that participant Leonard, a man living with dementia, encapsulated, which showed the progressive and powerful potential of serious leisure when he related to me about his regular games of badminton. You're achieving something. actually doing something physically, being there and doing it. Brilliant, great, love it. Thank you for listening. If you want to hear more or are interested in any of the issues that I've raised, please do get in touch.